Dodge this.
One world currency.
The New World Order.
Those are the roots of trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of DTRH. It is December 25th, 2014. That's right. It is, I guess, what is considered to be Christmas Day, 2014. I don't really celebrate Christmas. Wasn't really a very, I was kind of celebratory about it with Marseille when she was alive, but as you can all probably guess, I'm not very happy or merry this Christmas at all. Not really in the mood for it, especially, with the circumstances that have happened as of late. So, I decided to celebrate, as Marseille and I always would every year, Festivus. Now, some of you might not know what Festivus is. Festivus is kind of a made-up holiday, but I'll explain what it is in a second. But first, I wanted to let you all know that since I was going to celebrate Festivus, I couldn't think of a better crew of psychos to hang out with than some of my friends here from TFR. So, first, let me introduce the panel, the round table, if you will, that's hanging out with me here on this Christmas/Festivus/Kwanzaa, whatever the hell else you celebrate on December 25th. So first and foremost is the king stirrer of the crap himself, Mr. Joe Joseph. Joe.
Hey, man.
Merry
Krampus.
Yeah, Merry Krampus Day. Did you dress up like a demon and scare anybody in your hometown today?
You don't have to. They're scared already.
I'm sure they are, knowing you.
Yeah.
Speaking of dressing up and scaring people in their hometowns, we have a special guest with us tonight, Mr. John King. John, welcome back to the air, brother.
Thank you very much, Papa. It's a pleasure to be here. That would have been me that dressed up like a demon and ran around in my assless chap scaring people. I'm the pagan of the bunch. Come on now.
That's true, you are. John would only be adhering to his pagan roots if he did such things. So
that's why I sort of celebrate Christmas, but much in the same way everybody else does, but Christmas has its pagan roots.
Yes, well, we can get into that too. So we have 2 hours to go over a plethora of things. And last but not least, one of the other huge troublemakers here at Truth Frequency Radio, the host of the Kev Baker Show himself, Mr. Kev Baker. Kev, what's up, brother?
Awesome to be on here tonight, Popeye, and it's like the four horsemen of Krampus have turned up tonight.
Yeah.
We're all Christmased out, and we're in a bad mood, and we're going to get it out of our system, man.
Right.
I want to be the black horse. Can I be the black horse?
I must admit, guys, I'm the black horse today, and I'm a bit of a hypocrite because obviously we celebrate Christmas in this household, and my son today, I'd bought him a drone helicopter with a spy camera on it.
Well, that has its uses, though.
See, Joe, the irony of this should not be lost on any of my listeners. The amount of shows I've done on the perils of drones and spying technology. But I must admit, what fun I've had today playing with that crap, man.
But dude,
absolutely brilliant.
You use it for good reasons, right? It's like any tool. I could use a hammer to build a house. I could use a hammer to smash your skull in. It all depends on what I use it for. It's a tool, you know?
Someone's been tuning into Down the Rabbit Hole.
Yes.
Wow, Joe's paying attention.
So the drone, my friend, is nothing but a tool or a toy for you. But it could be used. It could be used for purposes of well, God only knows what you'd need a drone for, but you have one.
Hey, you know what?
Beautiful.
You're not the only one. I saw on Facebook earlier that one of our buddies, Scott Lopez, got a drone too. He got one of them quad rotating.
See, we're arming ourselves too.
Yeah, see? The enemy gets drones, so do we. Okay?
That's right.
Two can play at that game.
There's actually plans afoot for myself and James Swagger, Marty, and Johnny Whistles to actually visit some megalithic sites in and around the Glasgow area. And we're going to be taking advantage of this actual drone technology and the cameras to actually film this from, say, 500 feet up to get that bird's eye perspective on things. And again, there's another example of how we can use this technology, albeit designed to enforce the tyranny around us for our own good. And even today, having fun with the wee man, seeing that smile on his face, and at the same time, what a good way to start the conversation about why they are actually trying to condition kids about this thing.
Well, that's swell.
Technology is just technology, dude. It's what you do with it. It's like information. You know? Information can be good or bad. It all just depends on what you do with it.
And by the way,
we're dealing with technology. Sorry, Joe, but Popeye, I want to get your take on this because I put out a quick video earlier on, and obviously we've had the Sony hacking BS that's been doing the rounds. Sony have made a crap load of money today with the release of this film.
You think?
Rooney. And now we've got the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Live Network going down. Hello. This is obviously some push on the internet going on.
Now it's getting personal, isn't it, Kev?
Well, I was thinking, it's the most sought-after gadgets this Christmas. And obviously I have a son who is requiring internet access to play one of his...
Right. I like how he blames his kid.
Always.
The kid is the scapegoat. But nobody knows it's actually Kev online. His kid will pick up the controller, and Kev comes over and body checks him off the couch, and it's like, it's mine!
That's right.
Don't touch my character!
Folks, let me tell you something. How many times I have to... I ask him, pardon me, Kevin, but would you like to have some intellectual conversation on the air tonight? And he goes, oh, no, my friend, I've got earlies in the morning. I can't go. And it really, he can't... what he's doing is, he's there in his room.
He's playing Call of Duty.
Playing Call of Duty,
FIFA
absolutely.
15, man. FIFA.
FIFA, sorry.
Right. FIFA,
that's even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be ashamed. At least Call of Duty is a shooting game.
Wait a minute,
you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm in Division 3 online. That is like uber good, guys. Come on, don't knock it.
You should be ashamed of yourself that you should get that excited.
Popeye, you need a distraction. Come on, man.
I don't understand soccer. Maybe the rest of the world hates me for this, but I don't get ooh, kick a ball around an arena.
Oh, I do.
Just I don't get football either. No.
I get soccer.
Is the worst. Golf, you hit a small ball into the woods. You spend 45 minutes to an hour looking for it. You find it, you pick it up, put it on the ground, and whack it into the woods.
Let me tell you, man. There's probably no better sport to get in shape in and build up endurance than soccer. I mean, you run your ass off.
I know. I played soccer for years when I was...
Yeah.
I don't know. I lost my flavor for it.
No, I can't stand watching it.
Yeah, I play it. Playing is different. Engaging in the sport is different. I can't sit and watch any sport. Boring.
Yeah, I kind of... it's lost its luster for me too.
Let's actually mix these two stories, okay, for the good going into 2015. I was thinking, with this drone technology that I was playing about with today, you could go quite easily to one of these sporting events and the likes of a soccer game, as you call it, a football match over here. We've got all the Sky and BBC television cameras there. And a lot of channels broadcast this stuff live to millions. Now, how easy would it be to take one of these small helicopters, attach a small note to the bottom of it, and just fly it straight at one of these live streaming cameras? And you could maybe have Sky News or Sky Sports or Prostitutes visit www.truthfrequencyradio.com. Might only go out there for a minute, guys, but I tell you what, that kind of thing could go viral.
It depends, though.
Then they'll call you a drone terrorist.
But here's the other problem, too.
I'll take it.
Here's the other problem, too, is they typically know what frequency ranges like personal drone stuff goes. And a lot of these stadiums have RF jammers that all they got to do is flip it on, and that thing just and it goes down. I wouldn't do it. You might lose it. I'm just telling you. You could try.
You know what the scary thing is, though? For $40, guys, that's what buys you the spy technology.
Oh man, that's awesome. Now, do you think it could like hold a GoPro or something like that, or does it have to be a?
No, this small one's got a really, really small inbuilt camera. It's really a basic kind of entry-level drone. It's a toy, you know what I mean? But it's good for learning the basics of flying the things.
Yeah, it's a toy. Because when we were kids, if you had come out with something like that, they probably would have burned you at the stake.
No, dude, come on. You know, we played with drones.
Dude.
We played with drones, dude. The airplanes, the gas-powered airplane engines and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know. That was all like the beginning of it.
That was the beginning of it. And look
dude, come on. That stuff was antiquated compared to what they have today.
Well, okay, but still.
I can only wish that we had the stuff that they have today when we were
You know how easy it would be to actually do that?
Even trouble I would have gotten into?
But even like 25 years ago, you could have done that easily. Now, it would have been a little more bulky. But in the grand scheme of things, it was
expensive.
Just achievable. Yeah, it was expensive.
We need to get one, and we need to fly one of those quad ones, the really good ones, straight over the ceremony of care at Bohemian Grove.
Oh, now that would be awesome.
Can I ask something about that since you brought up Bohemian Grove? How is it that with all these wildfires that sweep through the West and like through California and stuff, how is it in all these years that all the homes they burn, they like take out like half of a city, right? Yet not one of these wildfires has ever touched that place.
Circular protection.
How the hell is that?
Power of evil.
Like, I mean, is that place? Are the grounds on that place so evil, or have such evil like emanating around it that like even fire is like, I'm not going there.
They've probably got a circle of salt right around the place, man.
Or something.
Somebody needs to go find it and erase the, make a hole big enough for a wall of flame to come through the next time there's a wildfire in that place.
No, you just do what Kev said. You just get a fleet of kamikaze drones.
That would take care of their little Minerva owl. Bye. There goes your little owl made of plaster and concrete. Inside the base, they have the little recording studio set up where they play Walter Cronkite's voice. He's the voice of that thing, by the way. Yeah. Oh, Walter Cronkite, he's a great guy. Yeah, they love him over at Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh. I just, if people only like actually paid attention. I know it's too deep, Popeye. It's Christmas. I don't want to talk about that. Elves. No. Let's talk about elves.
Now's the perfect time to talk about it, to be honest with you, because these are the same people, if you follow the bloodlines back and everything else, that got humanity all derailed in the first place. So,
you could go all over the place. You could ask why Franta, listen to me, why Santa wears a Phrygian cap on his head. Or over in England, you could ask why he dresses like the Pope, or, the UK area. I mean, Netherlands, Sinterklaas. He looks like, have you ever seen what he looks like? And by the way, the whole Black Pete thing, okay? Like, that's an old tradition, but for somebody, like, when I was over there, I had this Dutch woman, this was years ago, this is like the first or second time I was over there, and they had the little dolls, and I was looking at them, and the lady goes, oh, do you know who that is? I said, yeah, it's Black Pete, Schwarze Pete. And she goes, yeah, do you know why he's black? I said, because they're obviously little slaves, lady. And she's like, no, 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 it's from the soot. And I looked at her and I was like, right, it's from the soot. That's
Yeah, it's
why
from
they're
the
black
soot.
underneath their clothes, right? Because the soot got underneath them and just like touched their whole body and turned it black. Lady, come on. And she's like, no, no, no. I'm like, really? Then how come there's commercials? Like, I have it recorded. One of the commercials was Santa. And you remember the old slave galleons where they would all be down below decks?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Rowing, right? There'd be like 50 of them, right, on either side. Well, it's that type of ship, but it's full of all these little black Petes dressed in their little elf costumes, and they're all rowing. And Santa's walking up the center aisle with a staff and his mitre hat, smiling. And I looked at my wife, and Marcy looked at me, and she's like, "Holy
Whoa.
shit!" She goes, I was like, "You caught the whole tone of the slave ship with that thing, right?" And she's like, "Oh my god." If that were in America, whoever came up with that would be, and this was a commercial on TV. She's like, they would be in jail. I was like, oh, you can bet your ass they'd be sued. People would be burning their house down. But yet, over there, it really wasn't that big of a deal. It only, I've noticed, started to become a big deal in the past few years. And maybe people bitched about it back in the day, but when I first saw it, like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, about 10 years ago, I asked somebody there if that was a big deal, and they were like, no, it's just an old school tradition. And they had said to me, here it's different here. We don't have that same, for lack of a better term, I forget exactly what he said, but it was like racial division, in America. And now when I went over there a couple weeks ago, they were protesting it. Because I was there when they did, the Sinterklaas, as they call him, came out, and he goes to one of the department stores downtown in the middle of, Amsterdam, right by the Queen's Palace, is a big department store. It's like the Dutch version of Macy's. And he comes down, and they, just like Santa would come to, maybe Macy's and open up Macy's in New York. It's kind of the same thing. And Black Pete was there. There's a whole bunch of people dressed up as Black Pete, and they were playing instruments and everything else. And people were protesting about people dressing up at it. But it wasn't a very large group. Like, it was made out to be, like, if our news talks about it, which I've seen people here talk about it, they make it sound like it's these huge protests. I was, like, ground zero where that thing takes place in Amsterdam, and there was maybe 20 or 30 people at the most out there, if that. Okay, so there were protesters, but there wasn't. I mean, and when I say 20, I think maybe 20 would be. The number was probably closer to 20 than 30. There wasn't that many people.
That's actually what the mainstream media tried to tell us was a civil war kind of uprising in Syria as well. 20 protesters. That's a revolution.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like they blow things out of proportion, and they were saying that all these people were pissed. But what I mean is, I think that the anger about it, and it, and maybe it is racism, whatever. But people didn't really seem to care 10 years ago, and now they seem to get they're all like pissy about it. But it's more Americanized, and it's almost like they're seeing like the crap that they do here with the race baiting and stuff, and the political correctness. It's being exported to all these other countries.
This is globalization in my kind of thinking, Popeye. It's just going to be the Americanization of everything.
Oh, dude, it is. When I was over there, it was totally like there was Kev. We have Subway. It's like a sandwich, like a
Subway is everywhere here. You can't go round a corner without seeing a Subway here.
Well, the last time I was in Amsterdam, they didn't have that. The only thing that was American over there was McDonald's or Burger King, and I was glad that was the only thing from America that was over there, because everything else was, like Argentinian steakhouses or Italian food and stuff. But it wasn't Americanized garbage, McDonald's, Burger King type crap. I went over there this time. There's KFC. There's a Subway. And I was like, what the hell happened to my city? Like, it's slowly starting to Americanized.
Even look at Cairo, Popeye. I mean, you can take a picture of Pizza Hut and KFC while standing, taking a picture of the Great Pyramid. It's absolutely disgusting. It is everywhere. And I bet you if you went to Tripoli, I bet you, even though amongst the ruins there's probably fast food joints popping up. Globalization, baby. You gotta love it.
Dude, it was just very disheartening to see the city I love, a city that's 500 years old, around 500 years. That city predates New York City. I hope people realize that New York used to be called New Amsterdam.
I think a lot of people miss that fact about Europe, the actual age of it, Popeye. I mean, obviously me living here, sometimes I take it for granted and things, but you guys over in the States and that, I think it's lost on a lot of people.
Dude, I was walking past buildings, and I was in buildings that were older than my country. Okay,
When you think about it, isn't it?
I said to one of my friends that was there, I pointed up and I said, "Oh wow, that building was made in, I think it was 1640 something or whatever." And he's like, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Look, if you look at the top of the building, it says anno, and then there's like 10 feet of space, and then it says the year. There's like two different tiles, one on each corner of the building." I said that denotes the year that building was built.
And Popeye, I bet you it had nice pillars and a nice arched entrance to it. The trademark of all these stonemasons.
Well, some of these buildings did, but some of the buildings in Amsterdam are just so huge, dude, that or so old that they're not even like, they don't even they don't have the archways. Although I have black and whites of a building years ago that Marseille and I found, and they have a lot of the older buildings have skulls and stuff. Whether or not they're real, they look pretty friggin' real, but they have skulls. Look like real human skulls cemented in some of in above the doorways and stuff, and in certain places. So it makes you wonder. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they were
same
real.
when you're around the palace, and they've actually got it all like in gold. Popeye, that same kind of gargoyles and horrible.
Your evil lizard reptile queen.
Well, that's the thing. When I first heard today that PlayStation Network had been hacked by the Lizard Squad, I actually had images of Prince Philip banging his head off a keyboard. Actually,
could you see that,
dude? It's like putting 100 monkeys in a room and asking them to write Hamlet or something.
Oh my God,
Prince Philip hacking a computer. Come on,
that would be great. The Queen of England trying to hack. That woman won't even wipe her own rear end, let alone try to figure out how to type on a computer.
Let's consider
trying to hack. That's
let's consider something for a second, though, in that this is a perfect setup with this Sony hack, and now the PlayStation 4 kind of goes to show you that they don't need an internet kill switch to take out portions of the internet, because now they just have this cyber war that's going on.
Yeah, but what they do is they hire hackers.
Sure.
However they get them. Sometimes these hackers are, and some people go, these hackers are scumbags. Some of them are, they sell out, but other ones aren't scumbags. Other ones, they get arrested.
You get your white hats. It's a duality again, Popeye.
But you also get them that they hold some of these hackers over, and they do some, we'll arrest you and we'll press charges.
Popeye, I've heard people having absolute digs at Anonymous, and my experience personally with Anonymous, for all the good and bad they do, they looked after me when I went down to a foreign country in England to a protest. So the experience I've had with Anonymous and their hackers, absolutely positive, man.
I could tell you, anonymous hackers that I don't even know, people that I have never met, but they listen to my radio show and know me. They heard from my hacker friends that I do know. They read, Joe's wife wrote an article about Marseille when she passed, and Cherie posted it on Truth Frequency. And that article links to that article, and the news of my wife's passing evidently became viral news amongst the hackerverse. And there's plenty of hackers who I've never met that I owe a very big thank you to, because many of them donated money, members of We Are Change, my good friends, over at Hack Miami. I mean, those guys are awesome. The guys at Hack Miami, those people, you couldn't ask for better friends, that crew. They all came together, and they're the ones that paid for me to go to Amsterdam so I could bring her ashes over there and spread them out in the city that she loved the most in the entire planet. Nobody else came in and paid. I couldn't have afforded to pay for that, dude. It was,
Right.
And Popeye, look how they all try to lump them under the one mask. And I mean, rightly, this mask it's a totally different thing, but isn't it crap how they try and make out that they're all for bad? And yet, listen to that story there. And then similarly, on a lesser note, when I turned up in Watford, people who had listened to me, I didn't know them from Adam, yet here they were, offering me somewhere to stay, place to recharge batteries.
Yep.
That's what it should be all about.
You want to know why, Kev? Because light bearers, they come in all different shapes and sizes, and they have all different types of expertise and functions and purposes in this world. And there's going to be hackers that are like that are going to be looking out for, the common folk, because they know something that a lot of people don't, and they're kind of like the watchman on the wall for that particular type of stuff. I totally believe that. almost like the Empire and the Rebels.
It's that kind of thing, Joe, that really keeps me going because it shows that we are on the right path.
Sure.
Popeye's story there alone, I mean, that's an example to anyone. I mean, if this wasn't the right thing we were doing, these sort of things just wouldn't happen to us, man.
Well,
And
a lot of the guys that chipped in, like Luke Radowski, my friend Alex, my friend James, my friend Proxy, a lot of these guys, they all knew my wife. So, like, they went above and beyond even what friends need to do. But there were hackers that I know hackers I don't know in Anonymous that they got together, they got in touch with, these guys put it out there that, hey, we're going to try to raise a little bit of money and, fly him over to Amsterdam, so he could spread some of his wife's ashes out. And these guys, people that have never met me, but know of my radio show or know about federaljack.com, came out and donated money. I'm sure these guys aren't rich, so they donated money that they had to work for so that I could take her back to Amsterdam. So it just, like, I know that not everybody that hacks is evil and all that other crap. It's just, it's all, but I mean, I'm going to get some of these guys on in the next few weeks because I want to talk to them about this whole Sony hacking thing and all that. Dude, we could get into this for hours. In fact, the break's going to sneak up on us, but on the other side, I'm going to throw something else out there about Anonymous. I've asked my friend Alex about this plenty of times, and he's talked about it. It's not that every person in Anonymous is bad, right? It's just that certain people were corrupted. Maybe it's old leaders, but we'll get into it more because I don't want to get cut off. Anyway, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. The Festivus special will come back. 3 minutes, and I'll get into what the hell Festivus is. I haven't forgotten. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. So, before we went to break, Kev had asked me about Anonymous, and I was explaining a little bit, but I answered one part of the question, but I want to get to this other part, and then we're going to move on to other things. To answer the second part, Anonymous isn't all bad. It's got this bad rep over the years. People didn't even know what Anonymous was years ago. The best way to have a better, deeper understanding, I have to type up the archive information for it, but it's in one of the shows I did probably about 2 weeks before Merce passed, right when I came back on air. It was somewhere around like the beginning of October to the middle of October is when everything went to hell. So somewhere in that time period, right around there, I did a show about hacking and hack attacks and stuff because everything that was going on, and I brought out an interview I did with my friend Alex, and he'd come on a couple times over the course of over the years, and I had taken some of the interviews that we did, and I edited them together in about this 20-minute piece, and it went over about what his predictions were with all these false flag hack attacks and everything else. I played it, and it gets into detail. I played it that night. I'll probably have to re-air it again. I got to get the archive rendered for YouTube and put it up on Federal Jack, and then I'll spam it on Facebook and Twitter and all that. Just with everything, I haven't gotten a chance to. But if you go back over to Truth Frequency and you have access to the high-quality archives, it's in the early October of this year archives. If not, I'll get it out there in the next whatever. If you go into my archives on federaljack.com, there's older shows I did talking about false flag hack attacks. I think even back to, we'll say, the beginning of this year, beginning of 2014. Just look up anything that says false flag hack attacks. Or if you go to Federal Jack, go to the front page and right up in the search bar, type in false flag hack attacks, and it should bring up whatever, because I know I've used that as a tag, and I've used it in the titles of some of the shows that I've talked about it before. And you'll hear Alex talking about all the stuff that's going on right now, how they're going to blame Anonymous. It's Anonymous constantly gets blamed. And back then, they weren't as well known as they are now. They were kind of starting to push them out, and he was pointing out why they're going to do it. And yes, certain members of Anonymous, of the original Anonymous and LulzSec, got nailed by the feds, and some of them turned into rats, and they work for the feds now, which is, okay, that happens. So what Alex said, I still believe holds true to this day. And, he works with Hack Miami again. You guys should check out, they have a whole website. They do events like 2 or 3 times a year where they go over all this type of stuff. I mean, the feds are constantly going to their hack conventions, so I mean, they must be doing something right when they get that kind of attention. But he explained how, now that they have certain people that were at the top of the list, right? They already know how things kind of run. So even if Anonymous tried to change things up somewhat, they still have a basic idea of how things were running. So they infiltrate certain things, or the feds themselves can just have totally Fed-controlled hackers go do something and then just say, Anonymous did it. I mean, it's not that hard to make a video.
How do you know? I mean, how do you know? I mean,
well, exactly, because they call themselves Anonymous, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not too hard to frame them and make them be the scapegoats. And he called it. Like 2 years ago, we were saying that this was going to happen. And here you have it. And he was like, watch, they're going to blame China. They're going to blame Russia. How many times have you heard Russian hackers did this? Russian hackers did that. I mean, they're trying to start World War III. I mean, actually, World War III has already begun pretty much. It just started digitally. And it's been going on behind the scenes for a while. And they just keep trying to amp it up so it goes from digital to Cold War to hot war. The question is what's going to cause. And remember, the Pentagon, by the way, said years ago that they would not have an issue with dropping bombs on a physical target over a hack attack. They said they would consider a digital attack an act of war. You can go look it up. They said that a few years back. It's one of the things Alex and I talked about when I played the archive of the conversation that we had. So just go to federaljack.com, ladies and gentlemen, and type in false flag hack attack into the search bar up at the upper right-hand corner, and it'll bring up the shows I've done, the archives and stuff, and you can listen to them. And when I get that other one up there, you guys will hear it too, the one when I recently played it. It's no joke. I mean, this stuff, and again, how hard is it to blame Anonymous because they call themselves Anonymous? So, what are they going to do? They're going to come on and say, well, we didn't do it. Somebody can challenge that and say, but how do you know? It could be
how do you know?
Group. If they're anonymous, you know what I mean? So although they have an interesting structure how Anonymous works, because of that, it's easy to set them up, and the feds understand that, so they do. And I mean, I think 3/4 of the time when Anonymous is blamed for doing something nefarious, I mean, it doesn't make sense that they would do something bad. That whole group got into, it's like hacktivism. Like they try to balance the scales almost. So anytime you hear of them doing something bad, my first instinct is that it's not Anonymous. It's the feds posing as Anonymous. That's always the first thing I think. I mean, it very well could be. I mean, it's not like every...
Popeye, it's like that time they released the op telling people that they were going to blow up polling stations. That's obviously not anonymous. They're non-violent.
Exactly. Why would hacktivists who want to just even the scales of justice want to hurt innocent people?
Exactly.
Even the scales of justice or bring bad people in government or bad officials or whatever, that doesn't even the scales. That hurts innocent people. That's like what they set out to do, is protect innocent people and like give a voice to the innocent and the people that have been oppressed. And here they are getting blamed for things. It's the feds. And it doesn't matter what country. If it's in your country, it's your government. You know what I mean? It's easy to blame them.
But it's word association. It's like the word terrorist. I mean, you can be a terrorist for anything. Most people realize that today. They just want to get the people to associate a hacker as being bad. And once they do, someone will, hey, you must be a hacker, meaning negative slang. They're trying to control the vocabulary.
They even use the term hack or hacking like as very, very wrong. Like they'll use the term hacking almost, to me, hacking isn't, if someone has a computer program, we'll say, that, like DDoS attacks, that can be achieved with a computer program, okay, where you have a program on your computer and you set it to attack, and most of these programs back in the day, it would let you know exactly where you were being attacked from. That's how some of these people have gotten caught, because they used, one of them was called... what was it, the orbital ion cannon or something like that they were using. But it all a DDoS attack is it's like a digital sit-in, basically. It just blocks people from getting to your site. It mimics like a bazillion people trying to log onto your site at once, and it overloads the server. It doesn't really damage your site at all, other than stopping people from getting to it, So, like, you could use a computer program to do that. I don't consider that hacking. I consider hacking what my friends do. I mean, these guys. One of these kids, Proxy. He's in his early 20s, and this kid is amazing. If his IQ isn't 200, this kid's an amazing prodigy when it comes to computers. And if you hung out with him, he's a party animal. But the kid, I mean, he could hack with one hand and a blindfold tied around his eyes. And what they do is hacking. Like they can look at something and break it down and see it in code and stuff. I mean, that's hacking. I don't consider using a program that does most of the thing for you to be a hacker. Or if someone does a DDoS attack, that's not really hacking. Hacking is getting into the system and finding secrets out. Okay, that's hacking. So the government and the media. I mean, you could have a password, Joe. I could find your password out to like your Facebook account and get in, and they'd be like, "Popeye hacked Joe's Facebook account." No, I had his password, you douchebags. But because it was unauthorized access, they'll change that to hacking. It's word magic, It's word association. They try to take a lot of things and put it into one simple, easy to understand term to feed to the masses like pop culture-ish. You know what I mean? Propaganda, Joe.
Propaganda. Yes, sirree, Bob. Boy, do we often see it used, Department of War, Department of Defense, It ain't no Department of Defense, but that's what they call it now, because we're out there defending freedom and democracy.
Well, Joe, what do you actually do when you actually set out a word? You spell it. It's a magic spell. Exactly what Popeye's talking about. Power of words is unbelievable.
Boy, it's funny you say that because it is. It mesmerizes people into thinking it's something that it's not. So you're absolutely right. Hey, while you're still here, Kev, I got to bring this up, and I'm going to bring Johnny King in on this one too, because Johnny King, when he's dancing around the campfire in his assless chaps, often comes to, he kind of gets an idea of where things are kind of going in the future and everything else. So we all know about the prophecy of the popes, right, Kev? We talked about that.
Oh,
the prophecy of Saint Malachi, right? Petro Romanus, who is by timeline Pope Francis here, right? And Pope Francis has been kind of doing exactly what Petrus Romanus' description is.
Are we surprised? I mean, he's a Jesuit.
Shepherding the flock, right, through many oppression and all this kind of stuff. And he's doing that like more than any other pope I've ever seen or anything else. He's as active as can be. And
so he says, extending the flock, Joe, by opening up to aliens.
And aliens, too, yeah. And boy, it just gets crazier and crazier. Well, anyway, this year he said that, I got about 2 to 3 years left. How the hell do you know how much time you have left, man? So he gave this little nugget. Yeah, okay, he's Petrus Romanus. And Johnny King, you said something about 2017 being a bad year, huh?
Bad. Very, very, very bad. Yeah. So something big is going to happen in 17. And
but before that, it's just going to be like a little build-up, huh?
There's going to be a build-up. 2015 will be very unstable economically. They're going to be running like rats. And they're going to do whatever they need to do to keep the system propped up. We're still going to poke our finger into the belly of Russia and China, and they're going to ally and get their ties even stronger than they are today. And we're just going to slowly start to spiral, but that spiral is going to start to tighten as we head towards the singularity. But 2017 is going to be a year that will go down in human history.
See? Doesn't get any better than that, Kev.
And
every year it seems to get worse, Johnny.
Yeah.
And while I'm making that prophecy for those out there that are actually giggling and snickering, tell them my track record.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. They can giggle
Yes.
and snicker all they want, but it doesn't really matter because
The only thing that John ever said that didn't come true is he said I was going to win the lottery.
That's
and
right.
I still have not won the damn lottery, John. So
I didn't tell you when.
yeah, that's true.
Do we honestly think Putin is going to sit for another year and watch NATO continue this expansionism up on
I think
their
it'll be a
border?
slow build up, dude. It's going to be a slow grind. A slow grind.
That's one place I'm really,
Yeah, that's how earthquakes
keeping an eye on.
usually happen. It's a slow process where the pressure slowly builds up until one
Yep.
day one plate slips, and then all of a sudden the ground moves 30 feet in one direction.
Yep. That's
Well, we were
that's a
talking
good
about
analogy.
Russia and Ukraine and NATO and that. We had Alex from Kiev on tonight. I mean, he's talking about having to light a candle to go to the toilet because of power outs over there. That's one of the things that's kind of lost on people. The actual real people on the ground, like me,
Yeah.
Popeye, Joe, they're living it right now, folks. They really are. Some hardship over there. I couldn't believe it when Alex was telling me that, but every time I talk to the boy, it gets worse and worse over there.
And by the way, I'd like to say this. I said this the other day with Aaron and Melissa. A lot of people are like, look, Russia, see, signs the economic collapse. Stop it. Why don't you people tell them what's really going on? If you see Russia having economic problems, it's because we're conducting economic warfare against Russia and China. Do not
Yep.
be fooled. That's what we're engaged in behind the scenes. No, Popeye, why would we do that? Why would we ever engage China in economic warfare? Because we can't fight them physically, so we have to fight them economically. That's the way we took down Russia in the 80s. And that's what they're trying to keep Russia and China at bay. So they're playing with them economically. And it's not about propping up the dollar for a longer period of time.
No, it doesn't matter. None of that matters.
No, see that's the problem. Everybody keeps looking at the economy and freaking out about when the bottom is going to drop out. When the bottom is going to. I think people are. I think to a certain extent that whole meme is pushed to keep everybody preoccupied with. It's almost like a red herring.
Yeah,
Like
it is. It's a
And why? Because the enemy of the enemy is my friend. And we're going to squeeze them so hard it'll be like fusion. Those two are going to be like one. And then we're going to sit back and say, oh, shit.
Well, China also has, I've had conversations with my friends that are like, man, we should just tell China to screw off and go lob a couple missiles. And I was like, yeah, because we could do that, sure. And they only own our economy. So say they stop buying the dollar, they stop buying our debt and they stop buying bonds from the government. Yes, so I said, well, then your loaf of bread would go from like $4 to like $20. Well, yeah, you wouldn't be able to afford that flat screen television, your Xbox, none of that. Like, do you really want to play games? You really think it's cool that we should lob missiles? Genius. Maybe before you open your mouth and you start, ranting and raving and cheering for war, then maybe you should, understand the actual definition of what you're calling for, the consequences thereof. But
do
most
you
people
want
don't.
to play a game?
Well, that's what they think it is, dude. They think it's like Call of Duty, That's really, they do. People are just, sometimes I want to slap people. We only got like 10 minutes left, not even. And I know Kev's going to bail on us because I know he's tired. He's got to get up and he's still got to go hang out with the Clockwork Elves and smoke some DMT before he goes to bed.
I swear to God, man, I'd be as well moving over to Florida or something because I'm seriously working off East Coast time right now. I really am. It's
So just come over and hang out. You'd like Florida, dude.
Yeah, how hard
doing
is it
me-
to get a work visa, dude?
Not that
Well,
hard.
if I come over from Juarez, surely I just get
All
welcomed. if I
Kev has to
cause
do is fly into Mexico and then toss all of his ID.
Oh, that's right.
when
He
comes
looks
across
Mexican
the border.
anyway.
I
And
just brown up and hit the border and say amigo, and I'm in.
That's it.
Right. Wait, just come in. Just talk with your accent. They don't care. They'll think you're Mexican.
They'll
or
think
put
I'm
on a-
Irish.
Yeah.
Or put on a green tuxedo with one of those top hats.
Just tell them.
No habla inglés.
Just
no
no
habla
habla
inglés.
inglés. And then when you get in, they give you your little thingy and your papers to show up to court, and you're like, yeah, thank you, and you just don't show up. And then you'll have your ID, and you keep your other IDs hidden on you somewhere, and then you pop them out, and then now you're Kev Baker again. But you're in the.
I'm living on a sinking island, guys. Be careful what you wish for. Like Joe says, there's more than cheese in the mousetrap.
That's right.
Come hang out. You could come hang out with us, dude. During Florida, they always say is sinking too, or is it the sea is rising? Whatever.
Maybe
Florida's
some of
doomed,
you
man.
got to move to the other side.
I live inland now. I live pretty much like in the center of the state. So if the water rises, I'm good. I'll have beachfront property. So either way, I'm all right. I'm good to go.
It's like that congressman said. Maybe some of you have to move to the other side of the island in order so it won't,
Oh, that
tip over.
guy.
Oh yeah, you don't want it to
They
tip
pick
over.
out Cynthia McKinney and say she's a nutbag because she's anti-war and anti-torture, and they replace her with that guy. The guy that thinks they have to move the military base to the other side of the island or split the difference because he's afraid they're going to tip Guam over.
Yeah, I have to admit, I had her pegged all wrong in the beginning.
Well, you thought she was an idiot too?
Because of the way the press framed her.
Oh, of course. Well,
yeah,
they did a good.
So,
they made her look like a nutbag.
And then I started to read. So I friended her on Facebook. Started to read some of her posts. Had her on the show and all that stuff. I mean, she's brilliant.
No, I know I've known Cynthia McKinney for a very long time.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
And like I said to you, out of nowhere, like I get the weirdest birthday wishes. I turned on Skype on my birthday, and it was just happy birthday from Cynthia McKinney. She's actually a very nice lady, and she's very intelligent. She's very in the know, and she knows a lot of stuff. But you're right, the press demonized her, Joe. They made her look like she was a nutbag, and she's not. Now the guy that they replaced her with, he's an idiot.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That
total idiot.
If you could sap his brain power and turn it into electricity, there wouldn't be enough to toast a single slice of white bread.
I was going to say, not even charge a cell phone.
No.
Should that not just be the unwritten rule then? When they say somebody's a nutbag, we should listen to what they say.
Right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, when the media is making fun of somebody, you should probably pay attention and look a little deeper than what the media is saying about them. I mean, I remember
to somebody like Russell Brand who gets endless airtime on the BBC.
That guy,
such a threat that guy is.
He's a douche.
Oh, don't start me, man. He's right up there with the royals that he has often hung out with.
Yeah, Russell Brand is a douchebag. But before I forget, let me explain this, and then we can make fun of Russell Brand really quick, because you asked me what Festivus was. Festivus came from the show Seinfeld. One of the writers, apparently the writer's real father, had this weird holiday, and in the writing room one day, it came up about the idea. The true story of this came up, and then they turned it into this episode of Seinfeld. And then from there, it just became this thing. It kind of ended up getting picked up from there. One of the characters, George, his father didn't celebrate Christmas. They celebrated Festivus. Instead of having a Christmas tree, they had an aluminum pole. It didn't require any decoration. And one of the first traditions of Festivus was airing grievances. And then after they would air grievances, sometimes they were Festivus miracles. Like something would happen and they'd be like, it's a Festivus miracle. And then there was also the feats of strength. So you'd have to wrestle each other or box each other, perhaps fist fight, street fight, whatever type of thing. That was Festivus. It was more so just like getting anger out. So that's why today on Facebook I said, F Christmas, I'm going to go get my Festivus pole. Merce's the one that actually introduced me to Seinfeld and the concept of Festivus 9 years ago. And
Popeye is the Festivus champion.
Yeah, we used to celebrate Festivus every year. She loved it. So I'd rather air grievances and box somebody.
So you and Merce used to box and air grievances?
No. We might air grievances, but we wouldn't box. I was nice. I wouldn't slap my. That's what you're trying to say? I slapped my wife around. That's nice. Start some rumors about
the old school, man.
Yeah. What about this is 1950?
That's when it all went wrong,
Oh, damn, Kev.
Oh, sorry, not wrong show.
Yeah. That's tomorrow night.
That's that's
well, your white crow might disagree.
Oh, Kev, you're just trying to stir the pot. No,
not me, man.
The last 4 minutes he's on, he's just trying. So yes,
that's what he's doing. Yeah.
That's what Festivus is. It's just it's a made up holiday, but there's actually a lot of people that actually go out and celebrate it now. So
now that we know what that is, can we make fun of Russell Brand now?
Yeah, go ahead. Go 4.5 minutes. Tear it up.
Where do you want to start?
His douchebag haircut.
Did you like that video I sent you the other day, though?
That was the highlight of the week. Watching some guy come up and drag his.
That was an older video too, if I remember. That's like a year old or so.
The best part was he's acting all tough, like, I'm going to go kick his ass. Shut up.
Yeah, and his entourage.
Hey,
following.
punch him. I dare you to punch him, Russell. If I was the guy, I'd be like, please hit me.
How are you not embarrassed being an entourage to that bastard?
I would beg the guy to punch me in the face repeatedly. Please break my bone, because I'm going to sue your ass, and then I'll be then
I'd basically be doing it under duress. I'd be a prisoner.
Really?
Yeah,
Would you rather be security to Russell Brand or the Clinton family?
I'd blow my brains out.
Same here. I'd stand right behind you, Joe.
I can guarantee you one, you're definitely going to die.
Yeah. Either way, I'm screwed, so I'm going to go out on my own, thanks.
I just think it's crazy the amount of people who really are falling for it. It's quite scary, to be honest with you.
We need a socialist revolution. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense, you know.
I was talking about this the other night. A revolution, Popeye, when you think about it scientifically, does it not take you back to the exact same place that you started?
It's cyclical. Everything's cyclical.
I've explained this 1,000 times before. If you look at the word, you don't want a revolution. That's why you need to think outside the box. That's why I constantly tell people you need to change the way you think. You need to change your perspective. You cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. Because a revolution, if you understand what the term revolution is.
What does revolution mean?
Engineer, a revolution is a cycle. It's
a cycle.
Complete cycle.
Yeah.
So we're
one
just
revolution.
If you have a quote unquote revolution, you're completing this cycle. So we're just going to start back at square one again, and you're going to have all this crap. It's going to be the same thing over and over and over again. The only way to stop this cycle is to step outside of the cycle. Step out. You have to literally step outside the box and be like, wow, I'm not in that cycle anymore. And now you have a new perspective and a new level of thinking. It's the only way to solve the problem. We're not going to solve the problem, but that's why when people are like, we should just break out the guns and start shooting. Yeah, idiots. That's exactly what they want you to do. So why don't you just run exactly into the trap that they have set up for you?
But really, the answer, of course, is to not participate.
Well, no,
step out.
Revolution.
Well, get off the ride. You know,
picture it like a hamster wheel. And a bloody revolution is just a quarter or maybe a third of that hamster wheel, and then all the other crap that's been going on it takes up the rest of that hamster wheel, right? And it's going to continue to happen and continue, and that's always what happens. That's how they keep control. The only way to stop is to get off the hamster wheel and say, I'm done, and move on to something. Again, what did Einstein say? You cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. And that's what we're trying to do. Because we're in base level thinking. You're not going to solve the problem of base level thinking. That's what 666 means. It's not the number of the beast. Base level thinking isn't that. It's the...
Hey, wait a minute. I'll bet you if you dial that on the phone, you might get Krampus.
Maybe.
Could be.
Krampus calling you up. What up, homie?
What up, y'all?
We should know it. We're his four horsemen tonight.
That's right.
It's been great sharing tonight with you guys, man. Awesome.
Yeah, we're out of time. Well, we're out of time for hour one. Thank you, Kev. We'll be back
thanks for me.
2 or 3 short minutes, except Kev won't be with us because he's got to go sleepy. So, Merry Krampus, Kev. I hope the demon doesn't come down and try to eat your face tonight.
That's all right, you bearded pole smoker. I love you, man.
What a prick my friends are. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in 3 short minutes. Stay tuned. Ugly Scottish bastard. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. Tonight is Christmas night. December 25th, 2014. And all through the house, not a creature was stirring except the TFR crew.
Yes.
Yes, as Joe would say. Yes. So, hour 2, boys. I want to bring something up since it's Christmas.
Okay.
Since it's crispity Christmas, let's bring this up.
Kind of made me think of Krispy Kreme donuts now that you just said that.
Mercedes would be proud of me for the following comment. You and your goddamn donuts, Joe.
Damn it.
She would be
those hot glazed donuts off the belt.
Wherever she is right now, she's razzing you and laughing at you and saying, of course you'd want a donut.
If you've never had one right off the freaking conveyor, dude, I mean, when they box them nice and hot, oh, God. They melt in your mouth.
Are you okay, Joe? Do you need a minute?
I think I'm good now.
You have a food gasm? You okay over there, buddy?
Wow.
Yeah. Nah, whatever.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
A donut is a donut. But
No, it's really not.
Not to not the Joe / Homer Simpson over here. It's not. A donut is donut.
Donut.
Joe's best friend are Krispy Kreme donuts. So, speaking of Krispy Kreme donuts, and people, brainwash people that eat them, even though you're not brainwashed. Walmart customers, I'm assuming this was Ohio. This is WHIO News. I guess this is up in Ohio. Miamisburg, although wouldn't surprise. It's not Miami in Florida, but it wouldn't surprise me if this story happened in Florida, because Florida is the crazy state. Anyway, police had to be called on Christmas Eve last night to the Walmart because they tried to close at 8 p.m. in observance of Christmas Eve. Because that's, usually people do the Christmas Eve into Christmas morning thing and then like early Christmas morning. And usually by Christmas night, everything's kind of going back to normal, right? So Walmart, even though it's usually open 24/7, last night closed in observance of Christmas Eve, as most places have done for a very long time. So anybody in the history of ever living in this country would probably know that this is the way things go. Well, apparently some shoppers were not happy with that, and they literally tried to force their way into the store. Like, even though it was closed, they tried to force open the doors and break in so they could go in and shop. Like, if the store is closed, geniuses, what did you think you were going to do? Hold the store employees at gunpoint and make them let you have your purchases, you idiots, on your credit card, which they would probably give your information to the police? Stupid. Like, duh. But people are so in love with things that they were willing to try to break into this store, and they had to call the cops on these people. I mean, like, dude, what is wrong with this country?
Well, first of all, I want to. A gentleman skeptic in the chat room he just nailed it, man. I mean, seriously, he said it best. He said, when the hot light goes on, you'll wreck your car to get the crispy. Because they have that hot sign when you can get the hot donuts right off the belt. And so I said, amen, GS, because he just doesn't know. And poor GS, he's responded, he says, poor fool, it's like an orgy in your mouth.
We had a Krispy Kreme literally like a mile up the road from where I used to live in.
So true, though.
But, it's never been a big... I've had them before. I've never had them hot off the Krispy Kreme belt.
Oh, there's nothing like it.
Well, yes, I've had a Krispy Kreme donut. But I had to make fun of Joe because Marseille used to hammer him about eating donuts and chocolate cake. She used to bust Joe's balls about being a fatty. They used to go back and forth. I mean, the most epic verbal battles you could ever imagine. So
it's so funny too, because it just there's just those things where you just I can't let it go. There's just nothing like it.
What, a Krispy Kreme donut?
Now I don't even care how bad it is.
Google the local Krispy Kreme to see how far it is away from me and see if they're open 24/7. That I can go drive through the friggin' drive-through.
Hey, but you got to go when they're making the hot donuts. You got to get them right off the belt, dude. I'm telling you. Oh. Making me sweat right now. Come on, stop.
I'll make note of that. Look, there's a place around here, I told you. There's a place around here that makes fresh crumb cake muffins, like homemade.
See, dude, you just can't get any better than that. I mean, that's
powdered
bliss.
Sugar and like the crumb coffee.
That's just pure bliss
all over your face. Yes, I told you my cat ate half of one the other day.
If you eat
sugar all over her face,
if you eat that on a regular basis, you can basically rest assured that you're going to have a tumor somewhere down the line, no doubt. I mean, it's all about the sugars and the acid.
Whatever. I grew up eating
whatever, but I got news for it's worth it,
dude. I grew up eating Entenmann's coffee cake. Okay.
Oh, dude, the raspberry cakes that they have, those almost like Danish on the tray. Oh.
The best thing in the world was just the regular, Entenmann's crumb cake.
Oh, that too, dude. Don't get me wrong.
That's what these things are. They're like, picture Entenmann's crumb cake, but like way softer and thicker. And it's a muffin, but the muffin is the size of a bagel. It's probably got like 3,000 calories in it, and it's
beautiful. It's like one of those energy or the bars that you get in an MRE, the 2,500 calorie bars.
Oh, you could probably survive 3 days in the forest with this.
Oh, no doubt. And if you believe me, man, it will make you. it'll make you shit cinder blocks. But you know what?
I don't care.
Yeah, 2,500 calories, one bar, you're done.
Yeah, like you could survive for 3 days. It's the same thing with this. I'm guarantee you, there's probably enough calories in one of these things that it damn near. That I found out the calories in one of the burger places I liked over in Holland. Like when I was done building my burger, the calorie count was somewhere around like 13 or 1,400 calories. I was like, I don't want to know that.
No.
Like, don't tell me that.
No. Yeah, that's right. Knowledge is power.
You're wrecking that. Now I'm not going to want to eat the goddamn burger.
Yeah, that sucks. Now I can't eat it.
Right.
You just totally derailed my fantasy here.
Ugh. Burger bar. I don't know if they have them over here in the States, but man, over there, I'd get a 270-gram burger. I don't know what that equates to in poundage over here, but they're huge. I'd get one of those things with fried egg, fried onions, and ketchup and mayo and salt and pepper on it.
Oh, that's just.
And then they have like this, burger bar sauce. It's like garlic sauce and some other stuff mixed into it. And when you're done, you have to like go take a shower because it's just like crap dripping all over you. It's disgusting. But it's a real burger,
right?
It's not like these. Oh, by the way, speaking of Big Macs and fake burgers, apparently McDonald's is trimming its menu.
Yeah, well, they're not only doing that, but.
But why are they doing that? Is it because customers, or is it because the government is telling them to do it?
Well, it kind of goes down to they're making it more fresh because people have this idea that the stuff sits in a freezer for a while, but the fact is they've got such a high turnover that it doesn't.
No, the trucks usually come in like 2 or 3 times a week. Stuff's probably only in a freezer for a couple of days, but it's still, I wouldn't eat it because it's garbage. But I want you to rewind for a second. You said the word fresh. I want people.
They're going to a more fresh menu. Yeah.
Okay, but fresh. When I think of fresh, I think of like fresh, crisp vegetables. I don't think of McDonald's or even Burger King. Just something about that. That's like military intelligence. Fresh and McDonald's don't belong in the same sentence.
Yeah. Well, you can get a salad. Maybe.
Yeah, that's probably GMO salad.
It doesn't. It's still a salad.
Yeah. Okay. I guess by
came
definition,
from the ground.
Yeah.
Maybe a little. I don't know. You're right. It's probably not where you'd go to eat healthy.
Probably not.
Just saying.
Was it Burger King or McDonald's that you ate that one time? Was it a Big Mac or a Whopper that you?
Oh, I've been there since then, man. I'm good.
Yeah, but what was it that one time? What was it, McDonald's?
Yeah, double quarter pounder.
Right, and you got like physically ill for a day.
Yeah, that one. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah,
I wasn't ready for it. I hadn't.
How do you get ready for eating that food? Do you spend 2 days drinking gallons of ram's piss before you eat that?
Well, it's kind of a ritual you have to go through. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you prep yourself? How does one prep themselves to eat that crap?
Yeah, you just get very hungry. That's all. It's almost like,
dude, I got to tell you,
I could eat anything. That type of thing.
There have been days like, when Marseille first passed, I would forget to eat for 2 or 3 days. And
you could do it.
And I would realize I wouldn't eat.
You could do it.
And I'd be driving and I would see McDonald's and I'd be like, nope.
When was the last time you had McDonald's fries?
The last time I ate McDonald's was probably when I was like 15 years old.
Okay.
You
wouldn't even recognize it now.
Probably like 13 years old.
Yeah, like the fries suck compared to then. And I mean, even then.
Because they're not fries, dude. You can go look. I don't know if YouTube took it down or not, but there used to be videos up where you could look at the guy that like bought the McDonald's hamburger and the McDonald's fries. I think in one case it was a woman, and like 3 or 4 years later, the fries still looked like they did the day she bought them. They were still like goldeny yellow. That's disgusting. Like my food should not look the same way it did 4 years ago. Well, it should be rotten and destroyed.
There's no doubt, dude. No doubt.
My food looks like it did 5 years ago.
Well, that's a little different. That's different.
You're John King. You're the exception to the rule. And besides, you can. If you opened your food and left it out on the shelf, it wouldn't last 4 or 5 years. It would rot because it's natural food.
Yeah.
With McDonald's food, you could leave that shit outside in the sunlight, and even the animals are like, I ain't eating that. Seriously, take like bleached white sugar or even like, corn syrup take like it's even better if you do corn syrup. Take something that's like just loaded with pure corn syrup, basically, and pour that on the ground, and then take like raw, unbleached, unrefined sugar and put it on the ground next to it, and see which one the ants go for.
You're right, Papa. I stopped at Wendy's for dinner the other night and dropped my French fries on the floor of the car as I drove home. So when I got home, I pulled the French fries out and threw them in my driveway for the birds to eat. They're still there. Birds won't touch them.
No, I'm telling you, it's. I mean, like it sounds like I'm joking when I say it, but animals really will not touch that crap. They're like, I'm not eating that. I mean, can you imagine that? Serious. Like if animals don't want to eat it, that's like the canary in the coal mine, you know? Like there's a reason the animal don't want to eat it. Animals are pretty much like they're willing to eat anything, dude.
When a dog licks his ass but won't eat a French fry from a fast food restaurant,
there's
that
a
should
problem.
tell you something. Yeah.
Well, because look at what they obviously they don't fry it like come on, they're nothing beat the way they used to do it with the lard, dude.
Are they even made out of potatoes, Joe?
But when it was potatoes and lard,
because it was look, cooking in fat and oil. Yeah, there's fat to it, but your body needs a certain amount of it.
But damn, that.
Well, now they use all these vegetable oils, and like when I cook, I don't cook in vegetable oil, or I don't use any of that crap. I either use real virgin organic olive oil, or I use organic coconut oil.
And it's kind of cool being down in the South because one of the few good things is you can go to I can go to the local supermarket, which would be the equivalent of like a 7-Eleven, really, in the city, but it's a supermarket here, and they have in the refrigerated section they've got lard and they've got what is it? Fat back and the hog jowl and all that stuff, man. I mean, they got everything. I mean, so if you wanted to fry your stuff in, lard, you can.
Well, yeah. There's places like, we have a barbecue place that Marseille and I used to like to go to. They're like this small chain down here in Florida. It's like a family-owned chain of barbecue joints, but they use like real food and real ingredients, and it I guess you could say it's fast food, but it's not really fast food because you have to sit and wait for your food to be cooked. It's not like McDonald's where you can go pick it and it's done in like a minute. But when they bring you that real greasy barbecue, you can tell that it's like they use real food. There's certain places that are like against GMOs. Those are the places I try to find. That those are the pizzerias I'll go to. I won't go to a Domino's or something like that. I haven't eaten Domino's pizza in that crap in years.
Domino's
but that's not pizza. That's like the equivalent of a McDonald's hamburger to me. I won't eat that crap. I won't. I would sooner go get like a power bar, or a protein bar or something that's just like that doesn't have any of that garbage in it, and eat that like an MRE almost. Maybe it's my training. Maybe I can. You know what I mean? I would sooner eat that than McDonald's. I won't eat it. I mean, I've had the opportunity where the only thing around was a McDonald's, and everybody I was with was like, we're going to go to McDonald's. I'm like, have fun with that. Maybe I'll get a shake. But even the shakes aren't real. The shakes are some powdered crap that they inject.
Oh, it's that non-dairy alternative crap.
Yeah, which is like, what is that made of? Like how fake?
Normally it's like vegetable oil, right. And
which is horrible for you.
Yeah. Oh, Scott Lopez in the chat room said that McNasty fries are cut with 80% GMO rice.
Yes.
And,
so
20% potato.
Okay, so your fries aren't even technically French fries.
No, they're like rice fries.
Like when I would go in Amsterdam, okay, yeah, some of the, like I ate some crappy food, but like when you get French fries, because they love fries over there, the fries are real fries. They're real potatoes. Like they'll fry them right there in front of you. Right? So, like, I knew I was getting fries. You go to McDonald's, you're not getting fries.
Places like Hardee's, they do that. They have like the real potato fries.
That's the way it should be.
And then they've got like the 3/4 pound burgers. Yeah, Five Guys does that. Five Guys cuts them right there in front of you.
That's the way it should be. This, rice. Why does it got to be 8? Why does it have to be 80% rice?
But that's why they're losing their. But that's why they're losing their business now.
It's
like more people are hip to this stuff, and that's why they have to change their menu.
And by the way, interesting factoid: even though I didn't eat there, the one time we were in Amsterdam, and we needed something quick because we were on the move. And we were by a Burger King. This is the only time I've eaten Burger King in probably 15, 20 years. And this was 9 years ago. we went into the Burger King there, and I don't know if things have changed, but at the time, and I know the laws are pretty much still the same. They can't put the same crap that they're allowed to put in the food here. They're not allowed to put in the food over there. So I got a Whopper at Burger King.
Yeah.
And it looked like the one on the picture, like in the commercial. It was a big, fat, juicy burger. It actually was a burger patty. I was like, I looked at I bit into it, and I was like, is this really Burger King? Like, it was really a real burger. It didn't look like garbage. And then my friend was like, bro, over here they can't put a lot of the same crap in the food. So I don't know what exactly it was.
Well, let me tell you this.
It did taste different.
A guy I knew was one of the transportation managers for a Burger King distributor. And so one day I went to him. I said, hey, man, how do I get a box of Whoppers? And he's like, you don't want those. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want those. He goes, you can't put those on a grill. I'm like, what do you mean? Aren't they flame broiled? He says, yeah, but it's got to go in at a certain temperature for a certain amount of time. He says, you throw those on a grill, it's going to be like, woof, and you're going to have like this little freaking pellet left. He says it's all fillers.
Yeah, they use most of the like what they use here in America is not. They can't even classify it really technically as beef. I mean, dude, when the FDA actually does their job and tells you that your product isn't beef, they told Taco Bell they have to stop advertising that they have all beef tacos. You notice Taco Bell doesn't advertise that anymore because the FDA actually told them, dude, you don't have any beef in your. That's not beef. Like. Yeah. You know you're a shitbag when the FDA actually comes down and does their job.
We can't cover for you on this one, guys. I'm sorry. This is like this is way over the top.
Exactly. When they're actually doing their job like they're supposed to, you know you're doing something wrong, just to let you guys know. Like, and they tested their food and they were like, dude, there's not even enough beef in there to be considered beef. And people were like, well, then what is it? It's all the nitrates and fillers and all this other crap.
It's a bunch of garbage.
Which, by the way, nitrates and all that stuff, that's one of the reasons why I went out of my way to buy food without it, was because, like, Merce was severely asthmatic. Obviously, that's what killed her. And the nitrates in food can trigger severe asthma attacks and allergies in people that have asthma and allergy and breathing issus. Most people don't even realize that. Well, probably that, too. But they can trigger. Nitrates are no good for your body. They're in a lot of food, fast foods. They're in cold cuts. You eat unless you know you're getting like something organic that's nitrate free, you have to go ask if it is. If they don't know, chances are it's not, because if it was, they would know. So if it's not nitrate free, I'm telling you, if you have asthma or a breathing issue, don't eat it. I mean, it helped her a lot. I mean, I did what I could to try to, stem off the asthma as best I could.
Scotty's saying nitrates cause colon cancer.
So
hemorrhoids, colon cancer, same thing.
And dude, that's a horrible disease. I mean, they got to take your whole colon out, and basically you're crapping in a bag for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why would they put that in food? Like, that doesn't, like, think about that for a second. I mean, I know why. There's sinister, evil bastards. It's to fill up
it's
stuff.
It's all about money, dude.
And stuff.
It's money.
I know why. But I want the average layman to think about, why would they put something that they know causes these problems into food?
But they do it because people are ignorant of what they eat, and because it doesn't really affect them too much in the short run. And really,
I guarantee you that the people that are selling this stuff
but they've known for years with this crap. Sure they are. Yeah, they are. But
Agenda 21.
No, I mean the people that make it and know what's in it, like at the very top.
They're eating it.
They don't feed this to their kids, dude.
Sure they do. Come on.
Monsanto, they're not allowed to serve any genetically modified food in their cafeteria. So wait a minute. You can genetically modify the entire food supply of the planet, but you won't serve it in your own cafeteria.
No, of course not.
Well,
no, you're right.
Okay, well then why not? Why is it good enough for us but not good enough for you? There is no answer. Or they'll say, "Oh well, they'll hem and they'll haw." No. Tell me why you wouldn't give your kids a flu shot, flu shot makers. Why won't you give your kids the H1N1 shot? Yeah. See, when they won't give themselves the shot or eat the foods that they produce, I'm not doing it either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I'll sure. You want me to take a shot? Yeah, sure. I'll take the next vaccine right after your wife and your kids, and you take it. Oh no? Well, then I guess I'm not taking it either.
That's why, whenever people ask me, it's like, that's why you don't go with the flow. I remember my dad, always saying that. Well, you can ride the wave and go with the flow, or you can be your own man. You can, do what you have to do. Because at that time, in high school, I really didn't give a crap about anything that was going on. I certainly didn't care about high school. And so, that kind of stuck out in me after, after a certain amount of time, you come to the realization that, man, maybe the old man knew a thing or two. And so when you have that realization, you think back on it, it's like, damn. Riding the wave does suck. Being part of that 75%, it sucks. You got to step out of that. If you know something's bad, don't do it. Whether it's an H1N1 or anything, vaccines, it doesn't matter what it is.
When you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach, that screaming, bad idea,
that's your spirit like knocking on you. Boom, 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 boom. Hey. No, don't do it.
I have a friend who's a very close friend of mine who's like a brother. He's a nurse, and him and I get in arguments about the flu shot. He's like, man, you people that are against flu shots. I'm like, you take it? He's like, every year. I'm like, yeah, and you have a heart condition. That's real smart. We get into it,
Yeah.
And, because he's got what he's been told.
Of course, he's programmed.
Medical school, right? And
sure.
I tell him, like, well, you should go read this or you should go read that. But he doesn't. The only research he does is whatever medical books and stuff he's got. And I'm like, see, that's the problem. You review only what you're told by the AMA.
It's propaganda.
I said, these are the same people that are, for fluoride. And he's like, yeah. I said, yeah, and the AMA also thinks that guns are a health problem. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Perhaps you should check that out sometime.
Sure.
If they understood at a much deeper level, then they wouldn't.
But they need to go there. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, and it takes hours upon hours to learn. And obviously he's got he works like 12 hours a day as a nurse, so he busts his ass. I'm not ranking on him. He's a really great guy. He's one of my best friends. But him and I have some of the most epic debates about certain things, because certain things he's right on point, and certain things I'm like, bro, you couldn't be further off the mark if you tried. And it's just because a lot of it is like when it comes to medical stuff, he knows the stuff, but he's got that propaganda, that stuff that they, like Ike calls them, repeaters.
Yep.
And they're fed certain things and then they repeat it, and it's like, man, I mean. And sometimes he's on point with some of the things he says, but other times I just want to look at him and slap him across the face.
When people do that, I often think of where that all spawns from, the whole propaganda thing. And I go back and I think about, like, one of the commandments is, no idols, don't worship idols. And all of this kind of spawns from that. These idols are made and in these images that have nothing to do with how things actually were, but it puts this image in our heads of what, and I have to use the image of Christ. It looks nothing like the guy that walked the face of the earth. Come on. Da Vinci's boyfriend? Come on. It doesn't even come close. Yet, that's the image that everybody sees in their head.
Dude, all I got to say is...
And it's a big deception, dude.
All I got to say is, like, I know there's people that don't think Jesus was a real person, but let's put all that aside for a second. If Jesus was real, he certainly wasn't a white dude. He lived in the Middle East. He would have been sunburnt like an MFer.
That's what I'm saying, like skin cancer palooza.
Right, like his family was from the Middle East. Do you really think that throughout the generations they wouldn't have had darker skin, more melatonin in the skin to protect them from the sun's rays? Because after all, that's what it's for. But
exactly.
Anyway, I know. Now I'm talking science, Joe. Break sneaking up. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment, tonight's live edition, DTRH Christmas 2014 edition. Joe, John, thank you for hanging out with me tonight, gentlemen.
It's been a pleasure, really.
Had nothing else to do tonight, unfortunately. I would have
you and me both.
I would have rather had a night to spend with somebody, but whatever. It is what it is. So instead, I'm on air.
Well, hey, big boy.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
You can always come up here with me.
No, I'm not going to hang out with you and your friends from Deliverance.
You'll
Joe wants to make Deliverance Part 2, the freedom,
squeal like a pig.
the Freedom Link edition of Deliverance.
The-
No, thank you. So, I want to ask you something. We've talked about the software, but I want to have this conversation on air with the two of you. I've been hearing from a few people, because I like to use the term goddamn, or you'll hear me say, Jesus Christ on air, or, in regular conversation. And I actually have one of my friends that says to me whenever I say it, they go, you shouldn't use the Lord's name in vain. You're going to go to hell, or he's going to be very mad at you when you say that. And the other day, I turned around and I said to one of my friends when they said this, my response was it just came out of nowhere. I looked at him and I said, dude, that's not taking the Lord's name in vain. Taking the Lord's name is if I go and kill 1 million people, okay, and then go, I did it for God. He wanted me to do it. That's taking his name in vain.
Or blaspheming it.
Right?
That type of thing.
Like, exactly. That's not me saying, like, God damn it, or Jesus Christ. That's not, I don't think that he would be like, you're going to burn.
It has nothing to do with it.
You know what I mean? I just think people really, like, that's like, so killing people in God's name, perfectly legit. But someone that says Jesus Christ or God damn it, that's going to just totally.
It's not even, first of all, it's not even their names.
Oh, I know. It's really Christ.
So, I mean, it's not even the point.
Right.
It's like, whatever. Look, that's not.
It's a title. It's not his
now,
name.
say that you become like all of a sudden King Popeye, sovereign ruler of the United States, and you embark upon a crusade to kill all the infidel Muslims out there in the name of God. Well, yeah, then.
So if my name was the U.S. federal government.
If your name was the U.S. federal government,
and I was trying to push something called the War on Terror.
Yeah, okay.
And I was doing so because you were onward Christian soldiers. So and I was doing that, and I was saying it's for our protection and for the children. We must protect them from the evil Muslims. Are you saying that could be considered something?
I'm thinking you're right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Using God's name in the wrong way?
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Just trying to put that in perspective for everybody. I'm just saying. I think it's interesting how some people and a lot of times things like this statements will come from people that are, again, it's like, but you're cool with like them killing Muslims. Well, they're terrorists. Yeah.
They're human beings.
But you're killing a fellow human being, but me saying, God damn it, is going to put me in a lake of fire. Like, do you understand where your morals are?
Something is seriously wrong.
Something's not lined up. I'm just saying.
Something is seriously wrong.
Maybe you need to take a step back and look at things again.
But as is most things in the world, though, my friend, everything is 180 degrees out of phase, So
it's just amazing.
Everything's backwards. Yeah.
It just amazes me. I'm like, really, man? Come on. And like, I don't know. Maybe they never thought of it that way. Some people, when I said things like that, sometimes they're like, "Oh, never thought of that." Maybe it sparks, some thought in their head, which I hope it does, because that's what I don't do it to just be argumentative. But like, usually it starts off with somebody breaking my balls because of the way I talk, and I'm like, "Look, I don't say the F word in front of little kids. Come on. I mean, I don't do things like that. But yeah, if I'm talking to adults, sometimes I might say, something or what, and it just amazes me how like." Someone might be affected by speaking real like that. And I've toned myself down, depending on mixed company. If I'm around somebody, like I know better, you know what I mean? Like you don't curse in front of old ladies and stuff like that. Come on. I do have, I still have some military bearing. You know what I mean? Come on. I'm not a jagoff. But, like if you're adults having a conversation, I don't see a problem with that. But yet I have like uber religious friends that'll be like, man, God doesn't like that. And I'm like, I don't think God's really worried about me saying, again, Jesus Christ or God damn it in a text or tone, a certain text or tone. When there's people out there like killing children and, doing horrific things to other human beings in his name, I somehow think he'd be a little more angry about that than, what I just said. But, color me kooky. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just it's like, wow, dude, are your morals that screwed up that it's
No, I don't think it's wrong, first of all, like from a religious biblical standpoint or whatever. But I think that it's It may be a little disrespectful to say it in front of people. I think you could say that, you know. I could see why somebody might be offended, but that's about it. As far as like from a you're going to burn in hell aspect, no.
Well, I was just saying, like, being offended is bullshit, though.
But it is.
It really
You're right.
is.
No, I'm right there with you.
Offended is bullshit. Like, if you.
But I'm just trying to look at it from their point of view. That's
no,
all.
I understand. But like I'm saying, getting offended. Look, okay, fine. There are things that have offended me, but which is pretty hard actually. Usually, most things don't offend me.
Yeah.
It's actually. I mean, Joe can attest to this. It's pretty hard to offend me, but. I mean, I'm sure there's something that has offended me in my life if I sat down and thought about it. But like, I don't go out and piss and moan about, you know, like. I mean, there was a couple, like, Aaron and Melissa did a video for Marseille. And Melissa's biggest fear was that somebody was going to say something that offended me. And I was like, whatever. They could say, like, trolls on YouTube could say whatever they want. Like, I don't care if somebody said something stupid. I have things said about me all the time, whatever. Like, you know, and there was like one dumbass comment made. And it didn't offend me. It didn't piss me off. It was just, like, it was stupid. And I don't know, like, everybody's entitled to their opinion. So I just find when someone gets offended and then wants everybody else to be punished for it, like someone finds something that they don't like on maybe on a billboard offensive, and then they want that whole billboard taken down. They don't want anybody else to be able to see what's on that billboard. Well, that's kind of selfish, don't you think? Because you're offended, nobody else should see it. Well, that offends me, but maybe it doesn't offend everybody else, you know? But what happens is people buy into that fake.
Oh, sure they do.
No, I'm offended too. No, you're not.
Johnny King's very much like that too. He's very PC. You got to be careful about him.
Yeah, Johnny.
Very easily offended.
You're absolutely right, Popeye. In that text, you're only invoking the name. You're not being blasphemous about it. You're absolutely right. Killing children and making war in his name is more blasphemous than saying and invoking his name in a certain circumstance, like Jesus Christ, John, you're eating again during the show. You're invoking his name.
Exactly. Like if I'm just saying the name out loud, it's not me, you know, going and running around and slaughtering people and saying I did it for God. Tell me which one if you really want to find something offensive, tell me which one you think is more offensive. But our morals, you know, the moral compass of this country is so effed up that, you know, nobody can find their way to the bathroom, let alone, you know, figure out right from wrong. I mean, dude. Look at the way people let their kids dress.
Don't even get me started.
If I had a daughter, and I'm not
don't even get me started. Wait a minute. You went to high school around the same time I did,
and girls didn't dress like they do now.
Wait, okay, so you're saying the mini skirts and all that stuff in high school and the big poofy hair. And all that. Come on, dude. Used to get in
trouble for wearing mini skirts, remember? If they wore skirts that were above the knees or too high, I think it was like they had a ruler they would measure or whatever, and if it was too high above the knees, they busted their balls.
They always had their, you know.
Dude, I wore a Budweiser t-shirt to school and got sent home because I had Budweiser on my shirt, and they were like, oh my God, it was like a huge thing, you know? I mean, now...
we had a little more of a slack. I don't know if it was...
No.
We weren't like you guys, you Jersey snobs.
No, they had, you know, parents didn't want their daughters dressing like whores when I was a kid. You know, I don't know.
In my school, the girls' dresses couldn't go up past their fingertips with their arms at their sides.
Yeah, well, and it was something around that, like the fingertip thing. There was some length rule that they couldn't have. And there were girls that if they wore too short a skirt or too revealing of a dress, they got sent home. I mean, we had one girl in school that was like fully developed by the time we were seniors, and every guy wanted to jump on her. Okay, I still remember her name. I don't know what she looks like now, but I remember back then she was super hot, right? Girls really didn't develop until they were like freshmen in college, and then they'd come back from the, you know, freshman year, like for Christmas break, and you were like, oh my God, who the hell are you? You want to go out? You know, like, wow, now these girls are developing at 14 years old.
Yeah.
Which the crap that they put in the food,
which is all the stuff they put in the food. I was just going to say that.
Hormones and preservatives, yes, sir.
And it's making these girls develop at a much younger age. I mean, I'm telling you, like,
Well, not to
some
mention
old guy that's just like, in my day, we used to walk to school both ways, uphill both ways in the snow with no shoes. It's not like that. I mean, this is reality. Like, you had one uber hot girl when I was in high school. Now you have 14-year-old girls. Like, you go out
You're right.
to the bar, you got to be careful. And like,
that is different.
Well,
Johnny King.
when the farmers put stuff in the cows to make them produce more milk and more, make the cows get bigger faster, and we eat those cows and we drink that milk, we're getting that hormone secondhand, but nonetheless, we're still getting it.
Yeah.
It's going to have a direct effect on how we develop. And yes, kid, my god niece, just seen her last night for first time in about 4 months. She's like 8 years old. She's developing.
Wait a minute. You have a god niece? Is there such a thing as a god niece? I never heard of that before.
Yes.
The hell, there's like a family tree of the god thing?
Yes.
So what does that mean? You become the girl's uncle if a real uncle?
Well, how does that, dude? What is this?
So, but what is that like? What do you do as the real? Like, if you have to take place of the real uncle, you're just like, okay, I'm your uncle now.
Is that like wife swap? Is that what you're doing basically?
That show is so stupid, dude.
But I mean, how is there a god niece? You're the god uncle.
Well, it's sort of like she's family, but she's not family because my own personal nieces are. They dress like hoes, and they have nothing to do with Uncle John because Uncle John is one of them whack jobs and believes that the world's going to explode and blah 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 blah. But
well, you are a whack job.
Well, thank you.
You are. That'd be cool to have crazy Uncle John in the family, though.
Crazy Uncle John.
I'd go hang out with crazy Uncle John and drink.
So she calls me Uncle John, and she's just like I'm her uncle. She's.
It's one of those scenarios. Okay, we won't press any further, John. We'll just leave it alone.
Yes, Uncle John.
Well, John, I'll bet you, if you didn't have the Charles Manson hair and beard going, that you probably would get a little bit
locked
farther.
up in solitary and Sing for.
Yeah,
years.
basically, I'm thinking like if you had if you look like one of those preppy kind of people that thought that the world was going to explode, I'll bet you they would listen.
Dude, one of my funniest memories, I just thought of this, is the
parachute pants, right? Zumbas.
The first time Mary saw John on video on Skype.
Oh, really?
She saw him and she was like, "Who the fuck is that?" She goes, "He looks like Charles fucking Manson."
I told you, it's an uncanny.
Dude,
I mean,
laughing
unbelievable.
my ass off. She was right. I mean, you all you need is the tattoo on the forehead, John, and you look like
It's awesome.
Are you going to be marrying an 18-year-old? From prison at all?
No, he just hung up on you.
He's pissed off.
When I'm 65, 70 years old and I can still hang with the 18-year-old chicks, that's an accomplishment, dude. Gotta hand it to that guy.
See, I was going to say the king of perverts. Like, you got to ask him. Oh, man. Poor Johnny K.
That's like George Burns. All them beautiful women, he said it was all platonic. My ass.
Yeah, it's all platonic.
Dude, that guy, I don't know what he was drinking or smoking in those cigars, but he lived to be, 100, 101?
101, yeah.
George Burns, that old man. I always think of him as God because of that movie, Oh God.
Yeah. With John Denver?
Oh, wow, man.
Didn't he die in a single-engine plane crash?
Yeah, he built it himself, though, so I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory or if just, like, bad engineering. Like, maybe one should not fly home-built planes.
I don't know.
Maybe
if you want
maybe one should leave that up to engineers that know what...
The old adage is, if you want it done right, do it yourself.
Apparently, that didn't work in John Denver's case.
Could be.
He crashed
into
a mountainside, I think.
Yeah. It's eerily similar to what happened when that guy had strapped a Jado bottle to his Impala.
Yeah, that was not a good idea.
No, that's
that guy
definitely
buried
not.
his Impala into the side of a hill.
Well, it was just a scorch mark, about 70 foot up, and that was it.
Because, dude, I guarantee you the car was there was nothing left of the guy in the car.
Well, the acronym JATO actually stands for Jet Assisted Takeoff.
Yeah, that's what they use on
for the prop planes for a short runway.
Yeah, you ever see the Blue Angel C-130 Hercules where they take off from short runways and the thing it travels, I don't know, about 50, 60 feet, and you'll see the JATO rockets are sitting there on an angle, and that thing kick. And dude, when that thing kicks off, a C-130 Hercules is like a flying bathtub.
Yeah, right? Basically.
And that thing takes off like it just goes, ooh, and it just goes vertical.
Yep.
Yeah. Jet assisted takeoff. You put that in the back of an Impala. Good night.
Yeah, well, he strapped it to the roof, so basically it was like there was just like rubber marks and all that kind of stuff until you could tell like his brakes burn up, and then it caught air apparently, and then flew into the side of a.
Yeah, he was probably trying to stop. Like you would have thought that he had like a detach button to detach the whatever he had.
If you're strapping a JATO bottle to your roof, I doubt you went into that level of thinking.
How about an off switch?
Yeah. How about,
no, they don't. Well, that's the problem. JATO bottles don't have off switches.
Well, yeah,
once you ignite them, you got to go till they burn out.
Yeah, that's how they take off, and they're only good for like one shot.
Yeah,
and they got to replace them out. But he should have thought of some sort of switch, like some sort of oh shit button. John's correct. He should have had some sort of quote unquote off switch. I mean, what about? I mean, diesel engines, when they take off, you spray CO2 into the intake and it cuts off the oxygen supply. It's the only way you can stop a runaway diesel motor before they throw a piston. I don't know if they even run away anymore. They probably have with all the computer shit now. They probably
they just shut right down.
That was fun when that existed. When I was first going through diesel tech school, I watched one shoot out of one of the engines they rebuilt, landed in the front parking lot, ended up part of someone's car. Dude, those things take off like a mortar. It's like blew a hole through the top of the block. The teacher's like, "Yeah, you failed." Whatever. That was awesome. That shit was like a mortar.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it used to be the only way you could stop an old school runaway diesel motor is by spraying CO2 into the intake. Cuts off the oxygen. So maybe you could do that. Maybe you could rig something up to do that into the JATO engine somehow, like snuff it out. I don't know.
I don't think they really care because I don't think that this is a real pandemic.
You don't think it was right? No, I'm saying the person who was rigging it to his car. I mean, if he was smart enough to we should take a JATO engine.
No,
maybe
wait. Smart enough? Wait, let's stop there. How about stupid enough? Okay, so because he's stupid enough to do that.
What speed do you think he reached before he hit?
Who cares? That's one of those. Again, that gets into territory that just doesn't. It has no relevance. It was just a smear on the side of a mountain. Basically, that's it. There was nothing left.
I think his friends that were there were like, "Oh shit."
Probably. I hope they warned him.
Like, do you think anybody had like any reservations about it, or do you think they were just all they were all unanimously like, "This is a really great idea"?
Well, all I can say is if it's a snapshot of what humanity is really like, then probably they're like, "Yeah, man, you go, boy, yeah."
Seriously, it's like idiocracy, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Just type in Blue Angels C-130 JATO takeoff, and you'll see what we're talking about.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and this idiot strapped one of those to his roof.
An Impala.
That's awesome. What year was the Impala?
It was one of the big boat Impalas.
The old ones?
Yeah, like a 70s.
Wow. You would have thought that thing would at least have, well, yeah, but you would need something the weight of like...
Does it really matter?
No, you got to figure anything can go airborne once you reach a certain speed.
I suppose it's like strapping something to a rocket like, when you were a kid.
That's why they put...
Still went up in the air.
That's why they put fins on Lamborghinis and stuff. And on certain cars, it reaches a certain speed and the fin will automatically come out. It's because it makes the way that changes the airflow, it pushes the car down against the ground so it doesn't actually leave the surface of the roadway.
Yeah.
Because that would be very bad. I guess if you put a JATO engine on the back of your car, it doesn't matter if you're driving a box. It's gonna become
it's going airborne. It's like tying a bottle rocket to it's still going up.
Wow, dude.
It may not go up as high, but it's still going up.
That must have been a trip. That was it like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. It could.
All I can think of is the G-forces would have put that guy out quick.
Yeah, it probably would have knocked him out before he even hit the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
He probably didn't even know what hit him. He probably woke up and where the hell am I? I'm in another land. And Why is Abraham Lincoln and everybody else that's dead here? Oh, I'm
Just-
assuming things went bad. So, something went awry, I think.
I guess if there's a way to go, becoming pale pink mist is the way to do it.
Yeah, but only if you're knocked out and you don't know what's coming.
But even so, even if you know it's coming.
But you really, there's no getting out of it. Once you're headed down that track, it's like, yeah, you're done.
Yeah. I would have to say probably all of your bodily fluids would dump in 1 nanosecond, and then that was it. You're done.
Yeah, I would venture a guess that that guy probably was knocked out probably the first between 5-10 seconds into it. I mean, that thing takes off. He would have been pinned to the seat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The G's would have just freaking put him right out.
Yeah, and going from like 0 to that fast, no oxygen, no suit, supplying any type of body support, life support, and you're out. Good night.
Resistance in the chat room says famous last words.
Actually,
y'all watch this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm just gonna push this red button.
It's so true, man. So true.
You ever see those guys that try to break the sound barrier out in the middle, like the Bonneville Salt Flats?
That's something.
One
that
of
gets
those
into
guys
science, though.
That's
That's
guys
Johnny's
just crashed
department.
and died too a couple months back, like 6 months to a year ago. I think he was on a motorcycle or in some sort of like specialized vehicle, and I don't know, he was doing like 200 miles an hour or something when he wrecked. Like, you're done. If you wreck
Yeah,
at
but you
80
get in-
miles an hour and you're done. You wreck
but
at 200 miles an hour, you're just on the ground.
You go into those things with the understanding that there's a risk that things are probably going to go bad. That's as far as I can tell. If you're strapping yourself into a rocket-powered cylinder, and say like a tire goes out or a wheel goes out or something, you can be rest assured that the thing's probably going to be in 1,000 pieces, and so are you.
Dude, that's all it takes is like literally, like people would think, well, you'd have to have some catastrophic event. No, you just need like a 10-cent nut to fall off at the wrong time.
Exactly.
And then that is it. You are now a 1.5 mile long smear along the Bonneville Salt Flats. That's just lovely. No thanks.
What did they say about like the Virgin X flight that failed? It had to do with a weld. It was a bad weld that caused the thing to break up. Well,
they said that dude, I guess, passed out or whatever when the event happened, and then woke up like as he was falling. The pilot that survived, he woke up as he was falling to Earth. Like that's got to be a trip. You wake up from being knocked out, and you're like, "Hey, where am I? Oh shit, why am I?"
And at an
90
altitude
miles
where
an
it's like at an altitude where you're going like I can't remember how fast they were going. They were going pretty fast. So you get jettisoned out, and it's like minus 90 degrees up there.
Well, terminal velocity for a human body, I think, is something like 90 miles an hour or something like that. You can, like, the peak is like 90 or 92 miles an hour, something around there. So, like, it won't, because of the weight and everything, it won't fall faster than that. But that's still
you're dealing with frostbite and other.
How many
crap,
feet
too.
per second are you falling, dude? I mean, you can imagine you wake up, like, think about that. You're in an event where you're knocked out. So you wake up. If you've ever woken up before or ever been knocked out, like, then you understand this. You're all confused, and you wake up, and you're coming to, and you're like, hey, what's going on? What's around me? And all of a sudden, you're like,
I was just in my warm, comfy cabin.
you're like,
what's
I
going on?
was flying the plane. I wonder where. Holy shit, I'm falling. You know what I mean? Like, dude. Like, and the guy still had the presence of mind to do whatever he had to do.
Exactly.
Like, that's amazing. Like, I'm not making fun of the guy. I'm saying, like, that situation, that's got to be one of those, I mean, that's going to make a story for the rest of that guy's life. You know, some guy's like, man, I was in a car accident and I hit a telephone pole and I survived. My airbag went off and I survived. That guy's like, yeah, that ain't nothing. Okay, sit down. Let me tell you a little story.
Yeah, right.
That's some crazy.
What about it's like that guy that jumped out of the balloon.
Oh,
that was
Felix Baumgartner.
Yeah, that was like practically in orbit.
Dude, he said when he was standing out on that ledge, he's like, yeah, I had a little bit of anxiety when I was standing out.
Are you kidding me?
A little bit of anxiety? I would have gone back into that balloon and be like, screw this, lower my ass back.
Dude, and then when he started like tail spinning,
Oh, I thought it was over.
I thought he was dead.
I was like, this guy's done.
Yeah, he's done. He's knocked out.
Yeah, I thought Felix Baumgartner was going to become a blip on the side of the planet, and then all of a sudden the dude woke up and got his, bearings, and I was like, whoa, homie's going to survive. But when he was standing on the edge of that balloon just before he jumped, and you see like how high up he was, and just nothing but darkness above him, I was like,
unbelievable,
man. You and screw that.
Unbelievable.
I'm like, no, thank you.
Not to mention that I get car sick.
Dude, you'd have to have a robotic foot to come out. And
I get air sick, car sick.
I'd
be puking all in that thing, man. Blech.
Oh, I don't get car sick or air sick.
Falling like that? Oh,
I would just be...
I'd be puking all over myself.
It would be an interesting ride.
To say the least.
Yeah. To say the very least, it would be an interesting ride. Anyway... We're out of time, Joe. Yeah. It's already freaking that time of the show. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we love you all. Tomorrow's Freaky Friday. Make sure you tune in. Everyone will be there. It'll be a barn burner, so to speak. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us tonight. We love you all. As I always tell you, the solutions to our problems are most definitely an inside job. We're out of here.